Two races remain now in the NHRA countdown to the championship. We have just wrapped up the Texas NHRA Fall Nationals here from the Texas Motorplex. As you're going to hear behind me, music is blasting in the background as right now Justin Ashley and his crew are celebrating a triumphant win here in the NHRA countdown to the championship. We have a whole lot to talk and discuss within this race because quite honestly, once again, this race is probably the craziest one we've seen all season. And if history is going to be correct again, all season long after Pomona, this is where we're going to look at and discuss about what happened here to decide the NHRA countdown to the championship. This was probably the most chaotic race I've personally seen since I've been here. I know in the 70-plus history of the NHRA, there have been some crazy days. This has got to be up there on that list because before round one was even over for Top Fuel this morning, it was already at a level 10 in terms of the insanity that you could provide for a race like this. Kicking off before Top Fuel even fired, right as Ida Zetterstrom and Tony Schumacher were pulling up to the lane to be the first pair out for round one, JFR released a bombshell of an announcement that really affected how today played out, not only in terms of the race, but for the championship especially. JFR announced 4 minutes before Top Fuel kicked off that Jack Beckman was going to not compete today at the NHRA Fall Nationals. He had woken up this morning with vertigo-like symptoms. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an equilibrium thing. It's where if you say you get up too quickly or you wake up and your head's not in the right position, you kind of get a little bit dizzy and faded and everything's spinning when you're walking. That's what Jack Beckman was feeling, and when you're driving a 300-mile-an-hour funny car, that's not what you want to have happen to you. So he woke up this morning, tried to get the feeling to go away. He went and spoke to the NHRA medical staff. He missed driver intros, I believe, because of it, and they advised him do not drive the car today. So JFR, with their best interest in mind for his health, pulled the entry out of the race, and we ended up having 15 cars on race day for Funny Car. That was before the race started. When Sean Langdon and Jasmine Salinas rolled to the lanes for their race, when they staged the cars, the tree took a very long time to drop, and that really frustrated Sean Langdon, who's in the middle of a points championship battle. He said it very clearly in the top end, we cannot have stuff like this happen with the championship on the line. We ended up being under delay because of that as officials checked the tree to make sure everything was correct. Then the next pair comes out, Billy Torrance and Josh Hart. They go to do their burnout. Everything seems okay, and then the tower cuts off. Jason Galvin's microphone, who was doing PA this weekend, his microphone cut off. Joe Costello jumped in and tried to do commentary. And as they were getting ready to stage, officials ran out onto the racetrack and told them to shut the cars off. And then we were all scratching our heads and going, what is happening? And turns out, I've heard a couple different stories. What we all know, at least, there was a power surge in the tower. Then the entire racetrack ended up putting us under a major delay as they got everything reset and refired so that way they could send cars back down the racetrack. As to how that happened, as soon as it happened, I got a message from somebody in the lanes that apparently somebody with a bus or an RV had a flag on their trailer as they were pulling out of the racetrack, and they pulled a power line down. I heard another story that apparently a bus ran over a fiber line as they're leaving the racetrack. Something happened with somebody leaving the racetrack, and it caused the power to flick, and it ruined everything in round one, caused complete chaos. We were able to get the race going again. It was already chaotic, and that was the last of the off-track stuff messing with today's events. But for the rest of the day, it was even more chaotic within the eliminations that took place today. And in order to talk about that, let's show you your race recaps. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, the ongoing points battle between Gaige, Herrera, and Matt Smith would once again take center stage today, as to no one's surprise, both riders would occupy the top two spots on the ladder entering Sunday. With 15 bikes on the property, the reigning champion out of the Vance and Hines camp would have a bye into the second round where he would face off against Chase Van Sant. Gaige would step on the tree, cutting an uncharacteristic 0.91 reaction time, and would be outran by Chase Van Sant. It would not matter though, because Chase Van Sant went 5 thousandths red on the tree, disqualifying him from the race, allowing Gaige to advance to the semifinals. There he would find Scrappers racer Jasmine Salinas out of the MSR camp, and while Gianna would sleep on the tree, Gaige would not make the same mistake and would blitz down the track to go back to his second Dallas final round in a row. In the finals, he would meet up with none other than Matt Smith. In round 1, he defeated Malcolm Phillips Jr., would make easy work of Mark Ingerson in the second, and defeat Hector Rana Jr. in the semifinals, with a chance of closing the gap to within a round if he could defeat Gaige in the finals. In the final round, Gaige would get the jump off the starting line as Matt Smith would begin to close the gap and look to steal the win. However, his bike would quit on him as he tried to shift to 5th, and Gaige would secure the win and extend his points lead. In Pro Stock, the championship fight between Aaron Stainfield and Dallas Glenn would tighten after today's race, but not in a way most fans would have thought with how the countdown has played out. Dallas Glenn entered the race qualified 5th and looked to be on the same pace that he has had all postseason. In round 1, he defeated Troy Coughlin Jr., took out his biggest championship threat in Aaron Stainfield in round 2, but would fall to 5-time champion Greg Anderson in the semis, who has had his best race in a couple weekends after having a bye in round 1 with the absent Eric Latino and defeating Fernando Quadra Jr. in the second. The last of the Big Four would be Erica Enders. After an impressive qualifying effort which saw her in second entering race day, she would defeat Christian Quadra in round 1, but lose to Matt Hartford in the second, all but ending her chances of a three-peat, leaving Jake Coughlin Jr. as the sole elite motorsports competitor heading into the semis. He would defeat Matt Hartford, who spun the tires off the line to face off against his old rival, Greg Anderson, in the final round. In the final round, Jed Coughlin once again carried the flag for the Elite brand and would take out the #1 qualifier to capture the victory in his first since Seattle. In Funny Car, with Jack Beckman's absence on race day, it opened the door for Austin Prock to lock up the championship for John Force Racing. However, the Texas Motorplex has been a curse for the JFR camp, specifically for the Robert Height team for the past few years. Last year, he lost to Terry Haddock in round 1 and it derailed his championship hopes. History almost repeated itself as off the line, Prock smoked the tires early and had the parachutes deployed, allowing Terry to run away with the win. But this time, Terry's car broke and shut off, allowing Prock to stomp on the throttle and sneak away with a much-needed round win. The Prock Rockets' domination would seem to continue as normal in round 2 as he had a clean run in defeating Paul Lee and looked to be business as usual, looking to check Dallas off his win list. Entering the semifinals, he matched up against Ryan Capps. As Prock went into the burnout box, the Dallas curse finally struck again as what ended up being a broken throttle linkage would cause him to scuff the burnout. It looked as if the team would try and push the car to the line to attempt the run, but they would end up shutting the car off, and in irate, Austin Prock would pop out of the hatch and make a beeline for the exit as he walked back to his trailer. Ron Capps, who had defeated Dave Richards and Blake Alexander prior to the semis, would match up against the defending Funny Car champion Matt Hague, who had beaten Bobby Bodie, Cruz Pedregon, and Daniel Wilkerson in his road to the finals. In the final round, Matt Hagen would beat Ron Capps off the line and would need every bit of it as Ron Capps began to close the gap, but would fall short as Matt would score his first win since Chicago on a hole shot. In Top Fuel, the razor-thin margins in the championship battle came to a head today in Dallas as the top 5 in the points were all within a race from each other, meaning one slip-up from any of the leaders would result in opening the door for any of the dark horse picks waiting in the wings to take the top spot in the standings. The top 2 in the standings would meet up around 1 of eliminations as points leader Antron Brown would face off against Justin Ashley, who was making his second run of the weekend after sitting out qualifying to observe Yom Kippur with his family. It would turn out to pay off as he would have a championship-defying day by defeating Antron Brown to assume the points lead, then defeat third in the standings Sean Langdon in round 2, opening the door for Ashley to run away with the points lead. He would start doing that by defeating Tony Schumacher to semifinals and would face off against Clay Milliken. Clay's day would see him defeat reigning champion Doug Kalitta in round 1, Sean Reed in round 2, and beat Texas native Steve Torrance in the semis. In the final round, Justin would not take Clay lightly, cutting an 0.26 tree in drive-through tire smoke to defeat Clay Milliken and score his first win of the countdown, opening up a 2-round lead in the standings. As for the point standings, Justin Ashley leaves Dallas with a 44-point lead over Antron Brown. Doug Kalitta would be the biggest loser as after his first round loss, he has now fallen to 7th in the standings, a distant 133 points behind Justin. The top 4 in the standings still sit within a race worth of points from each other, with Schumacher still hanging on by a thread. In Funny Car, Austin Prock still has a sizable lead over the field following his semifinal breakage, now sitting 147 points ahead of his teammate Jack Beckman. Bob Tasca III costly first-round loss has destroyed any chance of him winning the championship as he has fallen from 3rd to 5th in the standings, 211 points back. Taking his place in 3rd is now race winner Matt Hagen, who is a far back 168 points behind with a far outside chance of going back-to-back. In Pro Stock, a Dallas Glenn semifinal loss to Greg Anderson kept his hopes of a championship still much in play. He now sits almost 3 rounds behind Dallas Glenn heading into the final 2 races of the season, as Greg Anderson now sits 90 back. Erica Ender's second round exit put her 111 points behind, just about ruining her chances of an elusive three-peat. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, not much change in the standings in terms of positions. Gaige Herrera's win grew his points lead to a now 62-point gap over heated rival Matt Smith. They're now the only 2 realistic championship threats, as Richard Gadsden's past 2 early losses now has him sitting 162 points back from his Vance and Hines teammate. As always, we do have clips to show you courtesy of NHRA and Fox, and we did get to hear from our winners during their post-race media availability.
Matt revving the engine, attempting to throw Gaige Herrera off his cadence. Matt got a little bit of a lead off the starting line, but that is not going to be near enough. He has shut his motorcycle off, and Gaige Herrera has continually, as he has done once again, shut off the hopes of anybody else of winning around here. 681, 6 at 200.
Gaige, in managing the threat of Matt Smith today, you have become the quickest person in NHRA history to achieve 20 career wins. Brian Lone said that you are living a dream. How big is it?
It's the biggest dream you could ever live. You know, as being a little kid, just dreaming of racing NHRA. You know, now I'm here living it and doing it, and it's hard to believe. You know, it's crazy. You know, it's awesome racing Matt Smith and all the competitors in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle, and for me to accomplish so much that I have in such a short time. I got to give it all up to Vance Hines, Andrew, Motul, Revzilla, Suzuki, Terry, Vance, Byron Hines. I mean, this one's for them. This means a lot, especially going this countdown. The points, everything are pretty tight, and we just got a little more cushion, and we're going to try to keep it going. Woo!
We love it. Yeah. Greg Anderson leaves on Jeg. Did all those mechanical changes help to turn the tide? It is going to be Jake Coughlin. 59 with a 3, beats a 60 with a 3. The team celebrating for themselves, and for Mark Ingersoll, who's watching from home, what an incredible final round. 10 inches margin of victory.
In the battle of the greats, it goes to Jeg Coughlin Jr. this time, and by the time Pomona comes around, can you be relevant in this countdown?
I can be relevant and maybe helping some others out, but you know, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with those couple 1,000 losses early in the countdown. But heck with all that. How about this big win in Ennis, Texas? Billy Meyer and the entire family, thank you for what an event. It's been a hot event. Thanks to all the fans for coming out. Mark Ingersoll, we love you, buddy. We miss you. And, you know, this one's definitely for him. This one's going to Chicago with the next train that goes there. And we know he's going to get well and be back with us next season. So, and all of our partners, Skag, Outlaw Beer, Jegs, thank you for all the love and support. And I can tell you we're going to celebrate this one in good Texas style.
Cap seeking his first win since the U.S. Nationals of 2023. Hagan made the first move. As they get down to the top end of the racetrack, Matt Hagan has done it on a hole shot. 394 beats a 393. You talk about a team who has been just gnawing at it, trying to get a win. They last won in Chicago. They last made a final in Charlotte, and they have won here.
You can just imagine the celebration of Matt Hagan. And Matt, you called it an old school matchup between you and Ron Capps, and to come out on top of a matchup with someone you've been competing with for so long on a hole shot. How validating is that?
You can't call it a whole shot. I mean, we're in the finals and there's nothing to lose, so it definitely wasn't a whole shot win. But to race Ron is badass. I love that guy. He's been my mentor for so long. Just our guys, man. We had a lot of stuff going on internally with our guys, and they worked so hard, figured it out, and we won this race. Jason Johnson with Johnson Horsepower Garage. Woo, this one's yours, baby. We've been working a long time to get here, and we're going to party tonight. That's for sure. Maybe we just burn this whole place down, you know what I mean? Woo!
Both cars roaring into the Texas afternoon, and at the finish line stripe, it's a whole shot win for Ashley. He has done it again in an 0.26 light. How do you stop it? How do you stop it? 77 beats a 76.
And Bruno, before he got out of his dragster, he looked to the sky and climbed out, taking in the moment. And Justin, Brian Lone said after that run, what stops that? A 26 reaction time and a whole shot win. How do you make it look so easy?
Divine intervention. This weekend speaks to God's presence in our lives. I'm a little bit emotional about this one. We had unique circumstances, but our team came through. And to be able to get a win for Team Toyota, but to be able to double up was Gaige. For everybody at Skag Power Equipment, Metalcraft of Mayville, Skag Australia, Skag Southwest, this is a really special victory. This victory is because of Randy Maria and the team at Skag, and the team that we have working on this race car could not be more proud and thankful. Thank you.
When you were turning off the top end, I noticed a little fist bump you had as you were making the turn, and you were screaming when you finished your interview. I don't think I've seen that much emotion from you when you win these races, not even when you won the U.S. Nationals. What was it about this win that stuck with you that made you this emotional up there?
I mean, you know, this countdown's been pretty tight, and, you know, I mean, we all know there's been some talk in the off-season, you know, trash talk and rumors that, you know, my bike's superior and blah, blah. So for us to not have the performance advantage and to get the win just means a lot to me. I mean, when I heard Matt's bike go on the limiter, I was already screaming in my helmet, you know, because I was as excited to basically whoop Matt's butt. So, but yeah, it just, this season, you know, it just means a lot more each round win we get. And I would say last year, you know, it was kind of like cruise control. As long as I stayed level, headed and all that, you know, I felt like I kind of had it in the bag last year. And this year's been a lot more pressure for me as a rider and Andrew, the guys at the shop. So I feel like it just each round and win means so much more this time. And I'm kind of just showing my real side and not holding it in anymore.
Every time that Elite comes in here, when they have these weekends where they just don't perform as well and they go out early, you're always the one that is left holding the torch for them going into the semis and the finals. And every single time you seem to perform very well under pressure and just get the job done to get the win for them. Does that really motivate you going into these rounds, knowing that you have all the pressure on you, all eyes for the entire team is on you, and you have to go out there and try and take down the KB camp from trying to steal this weekend from you guys?
Well, they were definitely ganging up on us as we're getting eliminated, which was unfortunate. Obviously, I want to see our elite team taking them out along the way, and us, you know, duking it out ourselves. But no, it's you know, you take pride in trying to make good quality runs and turning win lights on, and you know, that's kind of what today was all about. You know, obviously I saw Herrera go out, and you know, Aaron had just a misfortune. His transmission shifted into second and bounced out a second on him, and he was you know, running extremely well. And Dallas had a very poor run, but not the point. We'll never know the result of that race because it's over, and it happened in the way it did. But you know, sometimes you're the last man standing, and it's fun to try and run with that torch and help lead the team into victory. And you know, I can by no means take that solo. I had an army of elite performance folks behind me, and they're just as you know, deserving as I am. I'm just a driver that gets the fortunate opportunity to drive the car, and I do love to drive the cars. And it's been great to be back this year, and to be in the winner's circle here at the Texas Motorplex is very special. You know, when I went here 20 plus years ago, we were not awarded these beautiful cowboy hats, so I feel like I'm ready to hop on that bowl.
You seem pretty reluctant in your chances of winning a championship, but crazier things have happened in terms of how these championships play out. I mean, at this point last year, people thought Robert Hight had this title on lock heading into Dallas.
Hey.
At this going into Dallas, some people.
Was it you? Was that what you're saying? Because I won a championship last year.
Yeah.
No, it's just.
I mean, there's got to be that rugged cowboy voice in the back of your head saying, I still got something for him. He ain't done yet.
Well, you know, there's a never quit mentality, right? Like there's, you know, no matter what's at stake, we have sponsors on the line. We have guys that have bonus on the line. You have guys that are just, this is blood, sweat, tears to do what we do. So I don't care whether it's a championship or just a race win. You're digging every round, right? You know, I mean, people don't realize that these sponsors, you can buy a small home for what it costs to run a weekend here, right? And that puts it in perspective for me. It's like, you know, one mess up in a sorry doesn't change it, right? You go out first round and you got to go look at your sponsor that just spent $250,000 out here for the weekend. And you're going like, sorry, bud. You know, how do you do that? Like, that doesn't cut it, right? You know, so. You know, I go up to the starting line every time thinking about what's on the line, what someone spent, what it takes to get there, how much money that is, how much my guys have worked, how everything it takes to get you to this moment to be able to, you know, it be your moment and to create history. And that's what really kind of drives me, man. You know, just like you don't want to let anybody down. The worst feeling in the world is to come back and you look at your 8 guys and they're just super disappointed in you as a driver. You know, that's tough. That's super tough. So when I've seen that in my guys' eyes, it just, you know, you don't want to see that, you know, so you dig deep no matter what. So no matter whether we're running for the championship or we're running for a race win, it just, every round is that important.
Justin, you've been part of the championship conversation the last 4 seasons. You were #1 seed in the countdown last year. You left here in 2022 with the points lead, finished 4th all 3 years. What have you learned from there that's going to help you this year?
Well, it's not over until it's over. That much is for sure. You just have to keep swinging. I think for us, it's best to not even look at the points, to not count the points. We can look at it when the race is over, but if we don't take care of our own business, none of that's going to matter anyway. So for us, yeah, we won this race, but once we leave, well, it's important to enjoy it. That's the first thing, because these races are so hard to win. But once we leave here, our focus has to immediately shift to Vegas, and it will. Mike and Tommy have been through this before. They've won championships. They've been there and done that. So no matter what, this is going to be an absolute fight down the stretch. It is far, far, far from over. We took a major step in the right direction today, but nonetheless, with the guys that are lurking behind us, it's just going to become more and more difficult. And I can almost guarantee you, just like it always does, it's going to come down to Pomona.
And that is going to wrap up our content this weekend here at the Texas Motorplex. Again, this is probably one of the coolest races you can go to on the calendar. If you want a lesson in how to promote an event, take notes from these people, because they make this an event. They make this a must-attend, go-to race. This is kind of what the Indy 500 has, except they didn't really hire an outside marketing firm. This is all in-house production work, and they have done an incredible job giving it that Texas feel to make it feel like a Lone Star event. So if you have a bucket list of races you want to go to, be sure you put the Stampede of Speed on this list, because we're going to be coming back next year for the 40th anniversary. And if it's anything like the 60th and the 70th anniversary of the U.S. Nationals, then man, oh man, is it going to be a show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe today to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content for the NHRA Countdown to the Championship. We're going to be covering the Ford Performance Las Vegas Nationals from home, and then we'll be live in Pomona for the In-N-Out NHRA Finals to wrap up the countdown to the championship and crown ourselves some world titles. Be sure to follow our social media pages down below. My name is Matt Story on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And until Las Vegas, this is Mighty Mac. See you next time.